Good morning friends, I'm Elizabeth of Earl Grey Crochet and this is my YouTube channel all about crochet and all the other crafty things I get up to. You can find me as Earl Grey Crochet, all one word, on Instagram, or Earl Grey Crochet, 3 separate words, on Facebook or YouTube. This is my March update, and so I'm going to be talking to you all about what I've been up to during the month of February. First off, I have a finished item. A crocheted finished item. I finished my colour box sweater for Rosina's Granny Cow and I love it. It's very warm and today it's actually like 7:30 in the morning, so that's maybe the only reason I'm getting away with wearing it at the moment. And we've had a couple of overcast rainy days, so that's been nice, but it's still generally fairly warm. So I probably won't be able to wear this a lot for a couple of months yet, but I am loving it. I just put my tea down. I did initially buy, I was buying enough yarn to do the medium size, because that's what I thought, that's the size I thought I would be. And so I bought, the yarn I used was Peyton's Extra Fine Merino, and so for the medium I bought 7 balls in the mustard, 5 balls in the Air Force, and 3 balls in the grey. So that's 1 extra of the mustard, 1 extra of the Air Force, but they only had 3 balls of grey, which was the recommended number for the medium. The thing was though, I ended up needing an extra ball of the grey, so 4 balls, and an extra ball of the Air Force, so 6 balls when the recommended amount was 4. I did use a different yarn to the pattern recommended, which was the pattern recommends Cleckheaton Superfine Merino, but they are very similar, they're just a few meters difference, which is why I bought the extra balls to start with. But I ended up having almost a whole bowl of mustard left over, so I only used a bit more than 6 balls of that. And I ended up using the small pattern because the medium was just going to be too big, and this is plenty big enough. Because the way it works is it has measurements to fit bust, 90 centimeters. You make a jumper that's 100 centimeters. So anyway, I ended up going with the small because the medium was just too big. Also for the sleeves, the pattern kind of repeats itself a lot. It's like repeat row 3 and 5, or row 3s to 5 times, or whatever. Not exactly that. I found it really hard to follow, so I had to get out my notebook and write down row 6, this, row 7, this, row 8, this, all the way for the sleeves, all the way from here up to this bit. The grey part was a bit more straightforward, but just the increases, because you increase kind of maybe every 2 or 3 rows, or 3 or 4 rows up to this bit, and I just couldn't follow where I was up to really, and so I wrote it all down, and that made it a lot easier. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's so nice. And it's pretty long. I did originally cut out a couple of rows of the grey section because I thought I was going to run out of yarn, and because I thought it was going to be really long. But then I wasn't sure how that would line up with the sleeves. So I did the back first, and it was meant to be 2 rows, but because I marked something up, I ended up cutting 3 rows out of the pattern. But I wasn't sure how to modify the sleeves to make them the right shape, but also remove 3 rows. So I ended up just sticking with the pattern, because that seemed like the safest thing to do. So, just kind of stand up on my couch. That's how long it is. My hips are here. Yeah, so my hips are where the mustard starts, approximately. But yeah, it's nice. Just gotta try not to sit on it, because I'll kind of ruin the yarn, I suppose, if I sit on it on, any kind of harsh places. So it's my only finished crocheted item, but I have been doing other stuff. I showed you last time my fingerless gloves that I made, the wrist warmers or fingerless mitts or whatever you want to call them. So I've been practicing my knitting. I'm not sure if I showed you the start of this last time, but I've finished, well, mostly finished, my Hufflepuff scarf, my Newt Scamander scarf. As you can see, I'm very mustard and grey this month. My Instagram, I scrolled through my Instagram and it's just mustard and grey all over the place. I actually shared a photo of what I was working on last year, because like this time last year, because Charlie from the Love Charlie podcast tagged me to share what I was working on this time last year, and it was a bright green hexagon blanket, and it looked so funny amongst all the mustard and greys that I've been posting recently. Anyway, so I knitted this Hufflepuff scarf. Sorry if you can hear the gardening outside. I use double pointed needles. I did talk about this last time, yeah. I use double pointed needles, 5mm. This is Lion Brand Heartland, and this one's Grey Smoky Mountains, and this colour is Shenandoah. And you can get Lion Brand Heartland at Spotlight. So I still need to sew up, well, deal with this and sew up the end just to make it kind of closed. Look, that looks much neater. But yeah, that looks ridiculous. I'm not sure if I'll add some tassels or something. I think some of the versions I've seen have tassels. So I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stripes of the mustardy gold colour, the Shenandoah. The patterns I read, I think one recommended 10 stripes of that colour and one recommended 11. And I pretty much worked until I ran out of the grey. So I used all of the 150 gram ball of the grey, and I think I have 60 grams left over of the gold. That's from a 150 gram ball. So use 90 grams of that. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. And now Matt wants one too. It's not particularly long, but it's long enough. There we go. I'm just going to sit here in all the yarn and get very warm. I'll tell you with the weather. It's apparently... oh, it's only 18 degrees Celsius, so that's not too bad. I like it. I like it. We've had plenty of 25 plus and 30 plus days lately, so I'm pretty happy with 18 degrees. I'm just feeling in a very chatty, rambling mood today, so I'm not sure if this one will get much editing. It'll just be me chatting along. I've got a couple more finished items. I had a day of sewing. I finally got my sewing machine out to do a few things. I started off just like sewing up a hole in a pair of jeans that I had, that the seam had kind of split a bit, so that was getting a bit awkward. So I wanted to get that done before winter. So I did that. That's boring, I won't show you. And then I had this dress that I bought years ago. I'm not sure why I bought it, because like the shoulders were kind of frayed and the top part of it didn't really fit me very well. It was secondhand. It was advertised as vintage, so hence the frayed shoulder part. And the fabric was a bit faded on the top. So I'll put a picture up here so you can see what the dress looked like originally. And so what I've done before with a dress I didn't like the top part of was I just cut off the top. Well, actually I think I unpicked the seam, and I made a little just a little, I don't know what you call it, a tunnel. I know that's not a sewing term. A little tunnel to put some elastic in. So it's just now a skirt with an elastic waist. This one I decided I didn't want an elastic waist. It wasn't quite going to work. So I took the zipper out of the back, and I just I cut off the top. I estimated how long I wanted kind of a waistband to be. So I went with it's about 2 inches. Yeah, pretty much the only time I use inches is with sewing or crochet or stuff like that. Everything else is metric. Actually, that's a lie. I know my height in feet and inches, which is crazy. yeah, so I just kind of like folded it over, did a lot of ironing. I pretty much only iron for craft projects. I never iron my clothes. I sewed a tiny little line across there. I mean, it's a bit dodgy inside. That could be much better, but I'm not really sure what to do with that. I did have to, where is it? I cut off some of the inside fabric just so it could fold over, because it's kind of shaped to be a dress, and so it was shaped to get bigger when I wanted to fold it over and make it the same size as before. But I got a new zipper, put that in. Yeah, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. It's not perfect, but definitely wearable. So I have a nice, and I love the fabric. I think that's the main reason I bought it. The fabric is just gorgeous. I couldn't let that go to waste. So yeah, now I have a lovely floral skirt that I made from a dress. I think, yeah, the dress originally I feel like might have been handmade. There's a few things looking at it that make me think that. Just the way some of the seams go. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, so I think it was originally handmade, and handmade to fit someone else, which is why the top was just not quite right. It was just a bit gappy in the straps and that area. So yes, I do have another dress that I made. Well, I made the mistake of trying to make a dress a couple of years ago without a pattern. It was meant to be kind of Jane Austen inspired dress, like all the dresses they wear in Pride and Prejudice and that sort of thing, all that you see in the movies. But I really shouldn't have tried to make it up as I went along. A pattern would have been much more helpful. I did wear it once, but you know, someone commented that something was wrong with it, so that I never wore it again. I try not to be bothered by what people think, but you know, I'm still human. Anyway, I did some more sewing on that day actually. I'd recently been to Spotlight when I was thinking about, yeah, cutting up my dresses and turning them into skirts. I was thinking about sewing my own skirts as well. Just because I've been looking in the shops, I don't really find much that I like. I don't know, like they're all really short skirts, whereas I really like the kind of soft, flowy feel and maybe slightly more neutral colours, and I don't know, that doesn't really make sense. But I just couldn't find anything I loved. So I went into Spotlight to look for some fabric. I didn't find anything to make a skirt with, but I did find this adorable fabric with little foxes and bears on it. Oh. So I bought 1/2 meter of that. So I think the piece I have is 1/2 meter by 1 meter. Well, it was until I sewed this project bag. It currently has 4 balls of Starcraft Special DK in it, just to show you what it looks like when it's full. I made the wrist strap big enough, well, a little strap big enough so I could just hang it on my wrist, which works slightly better when it's less heavy. So I did have my scarf in here, my Hufflepuff scarf in here, which was really handy to carry around. Yeah, I'm so happy with this. I've just used like kind of a light canvas for the bottom and for the lining. The only thing I need to figure out better next time is this zip. Just sewing the tops of the sides better, because that's a bit unusual. Yeah, I was kind of inspired. I've been inspired by a lot of other YouTube crocheters, etc. recently. So Hannah at Cozy Cottage Crochet has been sewing project bags, and I think a few other people have as well. After I sewed this, I saw that Rosina at Zines and Roger had started doing some sewing. She did some lovely patchwork that she hasn't yet turned into a bag, or at least last time she filmed. So yeah, I look at project bags online, and there's one person I follow on Instagram. I keep seeing, I'm like, oh, that'd be really nice, and then it doesn't ship to Australia, and I'm like, you know, if I can make these things myself, I may as well. I was thinking maybe also, along with Hannah's idea, if I can figure out how to make it nicely across the zippers, I might try to make a smaller version as a prize for the blur along. But no promises because, yeah, for this, once again, I didn't use a pattern. I've just, if you flick through my notebook that I've got all my scribbles in for all sorts of things, there's just kind of rough shapes and that I've drawn and rough, like, measurements for fabric to cut out. And yeah, even I'd like finished sewing this all together, and then I was like, oh, the lining's too big. So I unpicked that last seam that I'd sewn up, which, yeah, you can see it's at the bottom. I unpicked that and, yeah, just re-sewed and trimmed all of the lining so that it wasn't as big. And I suppose that's what happens when you just do things without a pattern. Yeah, I mean, it works for me. I really like it. Clarissa Beth has also been sewing project bags. Clarissa Beth of Crochet Cakes. She's got some lovely little teacup ones for Notion pouches, I think. They look adorable. I've been watching so many new crochet podcasters or YouTubers this year. There's just so many, and I keep finding more. And that's actually my last finished items, so I suppose I'll keep chatting. Yeah, I just keep finding more. And the other week I joined in on the Crochet Circle podcast, Faye's Global Hookup. I missed the start of it just because it's like, I think it was 7:30 in the morning here, and I'd written it down in my planner, but I forgot about it and forgot to set an alarm and all that. So I'm lying in bed on the Sunday morning, going through Instagram, looking at the Instagram stories, and thankfully Faye had posted the time and the details in her Instagram stories for the Global Hookup, and so I was able to join in a bit late, and that was really fun. So I've been watching, yeah, a couple of other people who were there, like Claudia and Claire. I think that's all. Oh, and I started, heaps of people are doing, there's like Chrissy Crafts has done a little tutorial to make a Good Intentions hoop, a Good Intentions stitch along. I don't know if you've seen it. So she has an embroidery hoop with some fabric in it, and she's just stitched a little word. So her first one, I don't remember her first one, but her second one was go outside, and then she's got some like little twigs around it and some leaves and flowers and all sorts of things. It's very tempting to join in with that. I might do that later on. I do have some thoughts about a word to put in there. Maybe grow. So I think, yeah, this year I'd like to spend growing, I suppose, in my faith and my relationship with Jesus. And yeah, so I'm working on reading the Bible regularly. And also in my crochet, I want to be growing in terms of making all sorts of different things. I want to be finally getting back and writing up some of the scribbled notes that I have into patterns. I have a couple of things, all amigurumi, that I have designed in the past, but they're all still just scribbled notes, and I think it'd be good to maybe get some of those out into the world. Last year one of my goals was to design a pattern every month, which was just nuts. I'm not really at that stage at all, and so at one point, yeah, sure, maybe, but not at the moment. At the moment I'm just enjoying crocheting everyone else's patterns. Anyway, very chatty this one. Let's move on to some works in progress. So a couple of weeks ago I had to catch the train to Sydney, and I decided I actually caught the train to Sydney twice since I last filmed, which is a bit unusual, and both times sort of on my own. But anyway, I decided the first time that none of my projects I was already working on were suitable for taking on the train. Like, obviously my woodland blanket is way too big, I don't know why I decided not to take this. I took this the second time and got quite a lot done. So that was good. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did knitting in the dark on this because we were watching a movie, and I don't know what people's obsession with watching movies and turning off all of the lights, because I like to knit or crochet, predominantly crochet, while I watch movies, and so, you know, obviously pitch black doesn't work the best for that. But yeah, I did a section of this in the dark. Probably like this section. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I just find, yeah, I couldn't do it with crochet. With knitting, it's much easier to feel where your stitches are. Like, you just do the next stitch. And especially because it's just straight. Everyone's knit stitch, so that's fine. Whereas, yeah, with crochet, you've got to feel, you know, you've got to know that you've put the yarn over the hook properly, and you've got to know you're getting into the right stitch. And yes, I knit it in the dark. Anyway, back to my train stories. So the first time, I decided none of my current projects were suitable for taking on the train. So I started a new project, which I've barely worked on since then. But here she is. Bit hard to tell what she's gonna be at the moment. But this is a pattern by Amorpho on Instagram and Etsy. And I've done one of her patterns before. So Flora, who is the doll I've made with like succulents on her head and she turns into a plot, she is also a pattern by Amorpho. Anyway, so if you haven't guessed yet, let's see, we'll hold her arms up so maybe you can see it a bit better. She's got some little puff sleeves. It's going to be Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. It's been mentioned twice now in this video. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously she still needs her bonnet and her dress. And she does have legs underneath her dress, not that you can ever see them. Sounds so silly. But yeah, there we go. Hope they'll figure out some time to finish that one soon, because it's a lovely pattern. I really enjoy. I just really love amigurumi. It's the best. It's what I started with crochet, so that's where it's my favorite. Yeah, so I talked about Chrissy Crafts Good Intentions Stitch Along. The reason I'm not starting it now, I suppose it's meant to be a short casual project. Like, I probably could finish it pretty quickly. But I already have a stitching project I've been working on. I actually started this maybe like 6 or 8 months ago. Yeah, probably about 8 months ago, in the middle of last year. So I want to finish this and then I can start something else. So maybe I'll finish this and then do the Good Intentions Stitch Along, and that won't take me very long. And then I'll work on one of the million other cross-stitch projects that I want to do. I have one that has all these different teacups on it, and across the middle it says the art of tea, and so like underneath each teacup is a word like create or grow or make, I don't know. It's pretty cute, so I really want to do that. I got that in a kit from a magazine, as in I purchased it. It wasn't one of those free ones. But with this one, it's the first time I've cross-stitched on linen fabric, which, so you can see, yeah, it's much harder to see where you need to cross-stitch. So sometimes I get the rows columns a bit muddled up and it looks a bit funky, but I mean, as if you can tell, look, there's some down here where, you know, trust me, the columns don't quite line up because there's a part where a square or a cross goes over what should be 1.5 squares, but as if you can tell, so that's fine. Just requires a little bit more concentration than using Aida fabric. If you don't know what Aida fabric is, it's the fabric that you see that has like lots of little squares and holes and That doesn't really make sense. Anyway, what else have we forgotten? Oh yeah. Anyway, because I finished my knit project, so what I'm doing, one stitching project and one knitting project at a time. And yeah, there's not really a limit to the crochet projects. Those just, oh, whatever. As many as I like. Well, not quite. I need to get some things finished. So, when I finished my, lost a stitch. When I finished my scarf, I wanted to, well, there's a few things I want to do. I want to knit some socks with the yarn I bought in January. It's the Regia, I don't know what it's called. It's a Regia yarn. It's designed by Ani and Carlos. They have a video, it's called The Easiest Socks to Knit, or the easiest knit socks in the world, or something like that. And it's a toe-up pattern, and then with an afterthought heel. And I kind of want to do that, but I wish I can knit in the round, because I did this in the round. But I'm not sure if I'm going to do the socks. They do it on double pointed needles, which I suppose I might end up doing. But everyone seems obsessed with using circular needles. However, I don't know, I hate trying to get the stitches back on the needle from the cable. It always catches on there, so I don't know. That's probably just because I'm using not very fancy circular needles, and I could spend lots of money buying nice ones, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not that into knitting. Anyway, I've got a few lovely minis that I bought from Beck at Handmade Beck, or at Saltwater Yarns is her yarn dyeing little company. So this is one of them that I used my yarn sweep for the first time to wind up. I figured this was probably the one I'm least likely to use in something else, just because it's so bright, whereas the other ones in the pink set are a bit more muted, I suppose, and they're pink and purple. And there's this one which is really nice and bright, and so I wanted to make a tiny little doll cardigan, which, well, actually I originally wanted to make a doll jumper or a sweater or whatever you want to call it, which yeah, I was going to give make for one of my crochet dolls. Yes, I have 3, and I'm going to make more. Yeah, so I originally tried a jumper, but I was struggling with the whole working on circular needles with the getting it off the cable and onto the needle. So I'm doing just a cardigan instead. So here we go. I love doing new little knit projects because I learn something new every time. With the fingerless mitts, you know, I learned quite a lot of stuff. Yarn over and knit 2 together, slip, slip, knit, make 1 left, make 1 right. Not that I can remember which ones make 1 left and which ones make 1 right. But with this, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, but it's a knit front and back. It looks a little bit messy. I'm not sure. So, but hey, it's a tiny little cardigan for a little doll. So the pattern for this one I got off the Love Knitting website. It actually recommends using DK weight yarn, but I'm using fingering weight here. But it's fine because, you know, I think that one's for a bigger doll. I think it said 14-inch doll or something. Anyway, you know, my idea is to give this to Zoe, the one with purple hair, like me, if it fits. And she's like this tall, so it might even be too big for her in fingering weight. But that's fine. It's a good experiment, and I'm enjoying it. And look, in the pattern, I realized pretty soon after I did it, I'm like, the pattern has allowed for this teeny tiny little buttonhole, which I really enjoyed. I was like, oh, it's gonna make a buttonhole. I love that I'm kind of learning enough about knitting to know sometimes what different stitches will do. Like this one was a yarn over, which is a type of an increase that gives a hole like that, and then a knit 2 together. So you have the same number of stitches, we've got this little holey bit for a button to go through. I don't know if I'll have any buttons small enough to go through that hole, but you know, that's exciting. I do have many buttons. Yeah, years ago from Spotlight I bought like a whole bag of pink ones, so I might be able to use some of those. And a couple of years later I bought a whole bag of brown ones. They're just like assorted buttons in all different shades of pink and brown and all different sizes and styles, and so that's kind of handy. I'm not sure where the brown ones are at the moment. But yes. Anyway, I suppose I should stop talking about the tiny doll cardigan. What do we got? Oh, of course. And my last work in progress is, of course, I just don't want to undo any of it while I pick it up. No. My woodland blanket. Where's the hook? Oh, there it is. Normally I would have finished a row, but, well, I didn't. So that's horrible. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't come undone now. It's easy to fix if it does, so. Yeah, my woodland blanket. So, I didn't work on this a whole heap during February, which is unfortunate because I do need to get it done. Probably, I want to finish it ideally by the end of this month, so before the blur along starts. So, well, that's the most recent one. I'll show you from the beginning. So if you don't know, this is the woodland blanket. It's also another crochet along because, well, which is technically finished. I have too many projects to actually finish a crochet along this size in the set amount of time, so. Look at this mustard. I'm a little bit obsessed with mustard these days, in case you hadn't noticed. I'm really enjoying these lighter colours too. I think this one's pistachio, and this one's the Lincoln and the silver. Yeah. So we'll get into the blue soon. Oh look, I pulled up a huge loop and I still started undoing stitches. So that happened. That's fine. I can fix that pretty easily. Yeah, I found actually since I've started working on this again after I was knitting my scarf, I kind of crochet in a different way. I'll see if I can explain it to you after I turn the row. So yeah, this one is a present for my grandma. It's a surprise, so don't tell her. So maybe, I don't know if you can see, but I used to be very much of a, I don't know if I can even do it now, like holding the yarn and looping, like lifting it over the hook. Whereas because I did most of my knitting on that scarf continental style, so with the yarn in this hand, I kind of ended up just having it on this finger, which lots of people do, and now I'm holding my arms up, I can't quite, oh no, sorry, this finger, the second finger, and then just picking the yarn up and making the stitch mostly with my right hand, so just letting it throw. Anyway, I mean, I don't know if that's interesting, but yeah, I think the knitting made my crochet a bit faster and smoother. You can't tell there because I'm trying to hold my arms up with the whole blanket, so it doesn't work particularly well. Yes. So last month I think I mentioned, no, last month I know I mentioned, I went along to a Stitch and Bitch group. Unfortunately I wasn't able to go to that this month. It's a local group to me. I wasn't able to go to that this month because that was one of the days that I had to catch the train to Sydney. Catching the train on a Saturday is great because there is like nobody on the train. It's amazing. Whereas during the week it's packed. Yeah, it's a bit of a novelty me catching the train because I don't do it very often, whereas my husband Matt has to do it every week pretty much, because he studies there. I've also started up a little crochet, craft group through my church. A couple of girls came over on Saturday. We're going to do it kind of fortnightly. We'll just see how it goes. Sometimes Saturdays, sometimes Fridays, trying to see what suits most people. I know people have different commitments, and some of them are uni students, and some of them work. So, I mean, it's impossible to suit everyone, but I'm trying. So that's pretty good. Oh no, I've still got more stuff to talk about. So in terms of stash enhancements, you might know I've been trying not to buy yarn, which I'm doing all right at. I did order some the other day, but it doesn't count for this video because it hasn't arrived yet. I was ordering some yarn as a prize for the blur along. I've been donated some and I've ordered some as a prize, and while I was doing that I figured, you know, may as well order some for myself as well. So that's what I did, but yeah, it's not here yet, so I'll have to show you guys next time. However, with the sewing, I still have been adding to my craft stash. I don't know how I'm ever going to move house because I have so much stuff. Anyway, so with the first bag, I didn't use any interfacing, which I thought maybe it would have been good to use some interfacing just because it was a bit wobbly. Not that I've ever used interfacing in my life. So I mean, I just picked up some interfacing. That's boring. I also picked up a bunch of different zippers. They were 2 for 1, so yep. A few different sizes and colours, and I found some fabric in my stash that's kind of white with some roses on it, so I thought I got the white zippers to use for that. I thought I might make a smaller pouch or something. Where's another zipper? And then Spotlight had all these, like, what are they called? They had 50% off all their little fabric bundles. So I got this one, which is just a bunch of different colours, kind of pastel-y colours, along with a navy and a couple of greys and some whites and creams, and there's purple in there, of course. So there's a bit of variety in there, and I think they're all fat quarters. There's 12 different colours in there. So I got that, just for like, to kind of contrast or line bags. Yeah, use it as a contrast fabric like I did at the bottom of the other one, or to line them. This one is 6 different ones. I don't know if you can tell. I'll unwrap it if I can. So it's all cream. I actually have some similar fabric to this already that I'm going to use to eventually line the back of my Hygge Carl. So it's kind of a cream with a little white design on it. You can see there's some leafy ones. There's some stars. So I was kind of thinking that would make some nice lining fabric as well. Some flowers. Some little oval-y things. Some flowers made of oval-y things. Some butterflies. And then, look, these were 50% off, so I couldn't not get them. Look at these colours. Look, mustard and grey. I think February was just the month of mustard and grey. So I'll show you what all these look like. Look! It's got, well, I don't know if they're giraffes or zebras. Their necks look like giraffes, but they're stripy, so I guess they're zebras. That's gonna be a bag. There's this one with little grey elephants. Oh, this one has all sorts on it. So there's an owl and a squirrel maybe. There's an elephant, a polar bear, dragonflies. There's the zebras again and a fox, a lion. Bit of everything on that one. Now I've got to figure out how to fold it up again. Figure that out later. Well, this one's unusual. It's just little glasses. It looks like some sort of animal wearing glasses, but it's nice too. And then this one has words on it. It says, "Love you. You are my sunshine. Be brave, have courage, find adventure." That one goes this way. Think happy thoughts. There's one here. I love you to the moon and back. Can you see that? Oh, yep, there it is. I love you to the moon and back. That's cute. So, yeah. No yarn stash enhancements this month, but fabric stash is growing now. I gotta stop. I have a problem. But seriously, aren't these little prints adorable? I love the zebra giraffe things and the elephants and... Anyway, maybe I could use one of the plainer ones for my good intentions stitch along. Gotta use what you have sometimes. Although I'm not sure I have a 6-inch hoop that you need. I definitely have enough embroidery floss. If I don't, that's just too bad. I'll just have to use what I have. Because I definitely have enough. Yeah, I think that's all for today. Make sure to join in our Eau Gray crochet community on Ravelry, especially if you want to get involved in the blur along. Yeah, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you would like to share what you've been working on, or anything else, any questions, any comments. I'm going to try a bit harder than I have been to get together proper links for all the information. I might put that on my blog, augraycrochet.com, and I'll link to it down below in the doobly-doo. So yeah, if you want details, check that out. I'll try to have that written up so you can find things. Yeah. In the meantime, happy crafting. Hopefully I'll see you over in our Eau Gray Crochet community on Ravelry.